And you could even hear the fans saying, call for the ball, and he's just stood there and he just thought, is he actually calling or not? It was just really weird. But
the thing is, though, got to remember, he is Scouse, so it could have been quite high pitch.
Yeah, it could have been, yeah.
So you never know. He might have had a really hoarse voice at the end of it because he was calling so much, just no one could hear him. Here we go. We are back. It's Mike and Dan, and this is the Pompey Podcast, your weekly place to get all your news and views and whatever else on the greatest team on the South Coast. We've been away for a little bit, and Dan's been to Turkey, up into Portugal, badly timed holidays at the beginning of the season.
You can tell by our hands.
Yeah, we're so tan. Mine disappeared on the plane on the way back, literally peeling it off. We got a lot to catch up on. There are 6 games gone already. We're not going to go through all the 6 games because we'll be here all night, but we will talk about the latest 3, which is the last 3 home games, of course. Fulham in the EFL Trophy, Cheltenham and Exeter, 3 of the most exciting games so far this season. If you want to get involved, why not like this channel? Why not subscribe? Tell your mates about it. And you can get involved at the Pompey Pod. Sorry, no, I'll have to do that again. At Pompey Pod on X. Sounds weird saying that, doesn't it? On X, aka Twitter. Or you can get involved at facebook.com/Pompey Pod. There you go. Formalities out of the way. Also, stick around because we're going to be telling you about a great new interactive feature that we know you're going to love. That'll be right near the end. So if you want to just fast forward to the end, do that now. Yeah. But if not, stick around and we're going to discuss Pompey season so far. We're going to discuss the last 3 games, but also we're going to have a look at the new signings. We'll do some season predictions and we'll look at how we're doing tactically so far, and we'll have a brief look at the Stevenage game that's coming up at the weekend too. So, Dan,
right on.
6 games in, 4 league games, 2 cup games, 3 wins, 3 draws. How do you want to do it? Do you want to look at the games? Should we do it in reverse order, starting with Fulham?
Yeah, we can do it that way if you like, seeing as it's fresh
in the memory.
Yeah,
fresh in the mind. Go on in.
Yeah, well, so I watched the whole of the second half and I saw bits of the first half, and it was a good opportunity for players who have not been playing so much to come in and show their wares, wasn't it?
Right, yeah.
The likes of Raggett and Towler.
Did you reckon that they showed their wares?
I think they showed something.
They showed some wares, didn't they?
Yeah. It was a good cup game, wasn't it? But
it was a good end-to-end game.
Yeah.
1-0 down after 1 minute.
Yeah, I didn't actually see that.
Okay.
Before I even managed to get the TV on. So, what happened there?
Well, let's just say they were quick out of the blocks. We weren't. They attacked, kind of put the ball across the box. We were chasing shadows in the box, and quite a simple finish from the lad, really. So, good start. Keep it tight, lads. Keep it tight.
Yep.
Not the best of starts. I think I've seen today a lot of people saying this is why Raggett should be playing. Yeah, obviously we'll come to his goal-scoring feats, but I think the fact we conceded 3 fairly sloppy goals against an under-21 side is one of the reasons why he's probably not playing.
Lost the game as well. Could quite easily have lost.
Quite easily, absolutely.
And I don't think him and Towler put on a great performance.
No, it looks a bit shaky, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So let's talk about, obviously, Raggett's thunderbolt, shall we call it?
Well, that was class, wasn't it?
Absolutely.
That was and that was his second. I didn't see his first goal. Was that a header?
No, his first was deep across the back post. Pretty badly defended, really, by Fulham because he basically slid it into the back post from a corner. Which surely he should have someone on the line there, but no, he preempted well. And to be fair, he attacked it really well. But kind of slid in at the back post, tap in. So did well. Yeah,
almost got his hat trick.
Almost got his hat trick
when he scooped one over from.
Got a bit of a nosebleed at that stage, didn't
he? Yeah. No, it was a class goal. The best goal of the season thus far.
Oh, for sure. for sure. Could even potentially be the goal of the season. Could
be, yeah.
Could be. Okay, so good going forward. Pretty poor defensively, I suppose, is the assessment of that. I assume you saw their second goal, didn't you?
Yeah.
Which was just a complete farce.
Yeah.
Don't know what was going on there.
No, what was it? It was the attempt to play it around the back.
Yeah, we're kind of in the left back position, played it down the line a little bit, made a sloppy pass across, and then back to the keeper. Just kind of like, keeper obviously had a bit of a panic, and then their player just came in and pretty much a simple finish, really.
Yeah.
Which is one of the reasons, I don't know, I appreciate you want to play out from the back and what have you, and playing in those sort of competitions is probably a good time to do it. But like you say, when you're in for a chance to impress, sometimes you just got to put your foot through it, haven't you?
Yeah. Well, that's something I'll touch on. Oh, sorry. I'm not selling these, I promise.
No, you're just bored. You're just bored, aren't you?
That's something I'll touch on when I'll talk about the Exeter game.
Okay. For those people who are listening rather than watching, Dan's currently doing a Rubik's Cube whilst we're recording the podcast, because he's so focused on the pod.
Enjoy myself.
It was all scrambled up when we started, wasn't it? And in 3 or 4 minutes, you've done it. There you go. Good stuff. Okay, so let's head back then. So Fulham 3-3. Obviously, we won on pens, which extra point, fair enough. But so if we go backwards, Cheltenham. Let's talk about Cheltenham, shall we?
So the Cheltenham game, after the Exeter game at home, I was really looking forward to the Cheltenham game because I thought, well, they've lost 3 out of 3.
Yep.
We're unbeaten. Bolton had lost. Bolton had lost early that day, hadn't they?
To Wigan.
4-0.
4-0 at home to Wigan, yeah.
And my prediction for the game was a 6-1 win.
Okay.
I just thought it was going to be one of those where it was just going to be a goal fest. And
did you put a quid on that? Did you?
No.
Oh.
No, and then it was really disappointing that was most like our performances last season. That game. It was Cheltenham with 11 men behind the ball, pretty much for the whole game, which you'd expect a team coming to Fratton Park, as a team that had lost 3 out of 3. But it was quite worrying how we couldn't make the breakthrough. We looked sort of lost for ideas.
Was it a case of because obviously we had that really good chance where we hit the post, nearly went in, which came from a decent ball into the box, which having reviewed all our goals again today, a lot of successes coming from those balls into the box, early balls. If you look at Leighton Orient, 3 out of 4 goals were created from early ball into the box or corner. And we talked about this last season, just not getting the ball in the box quick enough. Was that the same sort of situation again with Cheltenham, because we just didn't have that creativity or the early crossing?
I think so. And a lot like, again, I'll come to it in a minute, the Exeter game, it was sort of, we were trying to get crosses in the box as quickly as we could, but it was the quality of the crosses.
Not good enough.
No, just not good enough. I think it was that game where Scully took a couple of corners and they didn't sort of get past the first man.
Yeah, which is criminal, I think.
I don't understand how
in professional football.
And how it still how it happens so frequently that you can't get past the first man with a corner.
Yeah, I'd be frustrated at Sunday League if you couldn't get a ball either to the back post or to the penalty spot or somewhere, unless you're going for a near post flick on. Then there's no reason why you should be scooping that into the front. Into the first man's there.
That game. I mean, yes, we had the 20-minute delay with the linesman going off.
Debacle.
The third linesman injury in 2 home games, because the same happened against Exeter. Like they had to change the linesman.
Do you reckon it's something to do with our touch lines?
I don't know. It could be
overwatering them.
It was the same position. It was the same. It was down the corner by the Milton end south.
Right.
Yeah. We had that 20-minute delay, but it's a bit of a cliche. It's one of those where even if we'd played for an extra hour, we didn't look like scoring. And I think even Cheltenham had the better, although we had more shots, more chances. I think they had the better chances. They put a few over the bar, which they could have done better with.
Yeah.
So it was just really disappointing. It was and quite worrying that it had gone back to that.
Norris also made the only save of the game, didn't he? So although he probably had 17 shots, not one was on target.
Yeah. And I think I possibly would have changed the fullbacks earlier. Okay. Well, they didn't get changed at all, actually. But Rafferty, sort of in the second half, he was sort of playing right where I was sat. And it's weird. It just looks like he doesn't even call for the ball. It's quite strange, considering that's their main. That's Pompey's thing is give the ball to the centre backs, give it out to the fullbacks, inside to Pack or down the line to a winger, get a cross in, and that's their sort of tactics. Rafferty looked bored.
Yeah, really?
For the second half. It's weird. I just thought, and you could even hear the fans saying, "Call for the ball, and he's just stood there and he just thought, is he actually calling or not? It was just really weird. But
the thing is, though, he is Scouse, so it could have been quite high pitch.
Yeah, it could have been. Yeah.
So you never know. He might have had a really hoarse voice at the end of it because he was calling so much, just no one could hear him. There's loads of dogs around Fratton just going, "What the hell is that?"
Yeah, I wonder why
going mental.
Yeah. That was just. It was just so much like a last season performance. It was just quite worrying. Third home, because obviously I didn't see the first home game of the season. I was away, but I think that was quite similar.
Yeah, absolutely. It was just slow out the blocks. No real idea in the first half. They closed us down quickly. Better second half. I think the one thing I'd say about the opening game of the season, and I think from other games that I've seen as well, is that at least we seem to have more options now that can change games. Whereas we didn't have that last year.
Yeah, I was going to say that. I think the good thing is that we do have players coming on now, and it's not just one or two players. He's got a pick of sort of 5 or 6 players that come on and do something. You've got Yengi, Sadie,
Kamara. I think
Sparks,
Kamara looks. Sparks. I like Sparks. I can understand why Sparks isn't a regular star, because we've not really seen him defensively as yet, but certainly moving forward. And I read someone today saying, I don't necessarily agree with Swanson, but certainly Ogilvie for Sparks in a game where we're exactly like that. Where I can understand Ogilvie if we're playing away from home against a tough team that we want to be solid at the back. But when we need to attack teams, I think, and they're going to come and sit back, you need someone like Sparks who's just going to get that decent ball in early. And his crossing, I think, is quality, isn't it?
Yeah, really good. Well, he did what Exeter and Cheltenham. They took both Scully and White off and put Sparks and Kamara on. So even though Sparks is a left back, he put him on twice as a winger.
Yeah.
And it was his ball into Bishop for the Exeter game.
Yeah.
The only goal of the game. And yes, what you said, he puts some good crosses in, and he looks quite lively. But whether he'll be that way starting a game or not, I don't know. But I would have done that against Cheltenham when we were struggling. I would have taken both Ogilvie and Rafferty off. Maybe stuck Swanson on and Sparks. Maybe even left the wingers on. Scully and White.
Just hit him down the flanks.
And hit him down the flanks, because Cheltenham weren't really. The fact this linesman came out of the crowd to run the line, he must have loved it, because I don't think he had to do anything. I even think he might have even had to give a couple of throws. That was it. He didn't even have to give him offside. So he probably thought, thank God for that, because he was probably bricking it. So he probably thought it was great that most of the ball was in Cheltenham's half. I would have liked to have seen that, but
So points dropped there clearly. Tell us about Exeter.
So the Exeter game was actually it was good. It was a really good atmosphere. Again, it wasn't the greatest. No, that sounds wrong. It certainly wasn't a boring 1-0.
Right.
There wasn't massive amounts of chances, but it was quite an exciting game, and I think the atmosphere helped that as well.
Yeah.
But what I did notice that game, which I found quite surprising, I don't know whether it was because Exeter were playing wing backs, and they had a couple of wing backs that were really pacey.
Yeah.
And they were the ones that caused us most problems. So a lot of that game we were passing it back to Norris, and Norris was playing long balls, which is quite unusual for Pompey in the last few seasons, because everything seems to, especially since Bazunu, I think it was sort of get it back to the keeper and then let's try and play our way out, Man City-esque.
Yeah.
But yeah, there was loads of long balls coming from Norris, and good balls as well from him. Wasn't just kicking it anywhere. He was looking for Bishop. Bishop, I thought, was man of the match. I realised from watching a game that close and being that close to Bishop just how much he works.
Yeah.
I hadn't really seen it when watching him on TV, and you've not got the camera. You're watching the action.
Yeah.
When you can see him off the ball, he works really, really hard, and I never noticed it before. Just like making those runs down the channels, and you know what it's like. Well, I don't know whether you know, but playing up top on your own, just how hard that is.
I used to do it all the time.
But just even not when you're not getting the ball, you're just making those runs all the time, and he worked really hard. He deserved his goal. But it was a good performance. It was good to see subs come on that did something.
Change game, yeah.
But again, I think Exeter could, if they'd got a point, it wouldn't have been
unfair.
Yeah. So it was good to get a win.
But that's a bit of a worry, I think, with the fact that they caused us trouble with the wing backs, because we're playing Stevenage this weekend. I believe they play wing backs. Obviously, we had trouble against certain teams last season. Most notably, I think probably Ipswich, although Ipswich were a different level. But they obviously their wing backs caused us havoc last, didn't they? Particularly in that away game, which could have been quite comfortably 5-0 rather than 3-2. Maybe the long ball is a way of combating that, trying to get it straight up, almost bypassing and forcing their wing backs back. But it's obviously a bit of a risky game, isn't it? Because it then does rely on having someone in and around Bishop to pick it up, which I suppose leads us quite nicely into actually we'll come to positives and negatives in a minute. But sorry, any more on Exeter before we move on?
No, I mean, I was going to talk about the wingers, but
okay, go on.
You were just about to touch on.
I was going to talk about new signings. And where better place to start than the already much maligned wingers?
Well, yeah, that's what I was going to say. I mean, I noticed that after the game on social media, and I thought it was a bit harsh. He does. I thought the criticism of him was harsh. He certainly seems like a better player than Dale. He certainly seems like he's looking to get the ball in the box at the earliest opportunity. Some of his crosses aren't great, but I think it's with him and White. Winger is such a tricky position, isn't it? Because you sort of have to do something each time you get the ball. You have to do something good. You have to set up a goal. You have to get a cross in that's good. Otherwise, it might look like your performance hasn't been great, if that makes sense. Like you can get away if you're a fullback or a midfielder. You can get away with just playing the ball easy, doing the easy things, and people might say, "Oh, you've had a comfortable game." But if you're a winger, you've got to get at the defender. You've got to get the crosses in. You've got to look lively for the whole 90 minutes.
I think, but I think, going back to the Dale comparison, when we talk about Dale at the beginning of the season, I think a lot of people were excited about Dale, weren't they? Because he was active, he was very busy. But then we soon realised that he was busy, but with not any in real end product or bad decision making. He often had bad decision making, didn't he? Where cut back, where really he could have just taken it on and been through a decent pass. I don't think I've seen enough of White or Scully. I still think there's more to come from both of them. I think it's difficult to write players off after 4 games when neither of them played a lot last season. And they could still be lacking in fitness, and some people might say, "Well, get them out of the team and get other players in until they are fit enough." I suppose that's
one argument. They've come from the Championship as well. People who expect
more. Yeah. I must be in the what I've seen of White, I've not been massively impressed, but I do think there's more to come from him. He is the one player I think I was genuinely excited about when he signed. So I think there's more to come from him. Scully, you can see he looks busy. I think he does look better than Dale, but I think with both of them, they'll come, and especially now that Lane's fit again, it's going to add extra competition in there. I think it's always good to have competition. If you know your style, I think you can potentially kind of relax a little bit, can't you? But I think
that's the good thing is the fact that you've got, like last season, it was if you're taking Dale off, which very rarely happened because we didn't have anyone. You've got no one else to come on and do. I mean,
we had Hackett, didn't you? Hackett was the alternative.
Now you've got your Sparks and Kamara to come on and change the game, change it up a little bit. So it's good. It's good that we've now got that.
And I think each of them do seem like an upgrade on Dale, Hackett, to a degree. Well, actually, for the last 2 seasons, Curtis as well. Curtis didn't do anything for the last couple of seasons, did he? So they certainly seem like a bit of an upgrade on that. So more to come from the wingers in that case. I think there will be. I think they will settle in, and I think there'll be assets. What about everybody? Go on, give us the.
So
we can't talk about all 13 of the new signings, but go on. Who's caught your eye and who so far?
So I think the obvious one would be Robertson.
Yes, quality.
Against Exeter, I think people were spunking a little bit too much over his performance because for the first, for the first 15-20 minutes, I said to my son, he looks really not my son looked nervous, but Robertson looked nervous. He was giving the ball away. He was not controlling the ball very well, and I just thought, this looks a bit dodgy. And then he had a couple of good touches, had a couple of really good efforts. One that he should have scored, but it was still a good chance, which he created himself. And then he played sort of well for the rest of the first half. Then the second half, he got booked, I think 15 minutes in, sort of lunging into a tackle. And he then got taken off because of that, I think. But he looked good, and then he looked one of the better players against Cheltenham again. He's free kick taker now. So we've got a free kick against Cheltenham and Exeter, both just sort of outside the box, and Pack has just walked away from it, and Robertson's taken the free kicks, and both of them he's come close. So he does look like he's only young, but I think he's going to be a quality player.
Yeah, and I think the key from our point of view is because what he seems to me is he seems that sort of player who instantly gets the ball, wants to go towards goal, and I think it'll be good. Talking earlier about if we're going to play that ball into Bishop, one thing we didn't have last year was anyone around him to pick up what Bishop's doing, and therefore I can understand where people get frustrated saying, we're playing the ball up to Bishop, he's kind of getting on his chest, not really doing anything with it, but then because he's got nothing around him to do anything with it, he can't do it all. And if you've got somebody playing off him like that, whether that be Robertson or whether it be Sadie or whether it be Yengi or someone else coming in, then that can only be good for him, I think. But he certainly looks with touches to be, but it's kind of managing that expectation, isn't it? Because he's not going to do that for 46 games this season.
No, he's not, and he's not going to do it for 90 minutes of a game either. No. You could see that there's a couple of times when he tries a little back heel or tries a little flick and it doesn't come off, and it's just like the bit of naivety about him. But he's certainly caught my eye, I think.
Yeah, it's good. Who else?
I would say Sparks has done well when he's come on. He's looked good. Sadie, it's been strange what they've done for the 2 home games, in that when they took Robertson off, and did they take him off again against, I can't remember, Cheltenham, but both times Sadie's come on in that centre midfield position, which is...
isn't he coming in on like a 10 though, isn't he?
Yeah, but he's... I think was it the second game when he came on? I could be completely wrong. But yeah, he's come in there. So I haven't really seen a lot of him because he's sort of only come on the last 20 minutes at the most. Yengi, again, he's another one I haven't seen due to the fact that he's now dead for many months. Yeah, and people are saying that's the training ground, aren't they? That's.
I wonder whether it's Julian warming up down where the linesman goes.
Yeah,
could be that little soft spot down in that corner, perhaps. I've heard it's a training ground being waterlogged. Is the
the two, yeah. So Paul and, are we saying Shaughnessy? Is that what we're saying?
Shaughnessy. Let's go with Shaughnessy.
Yeah.
I don't know where I heard that, but I did hear it somewhere.
Yeah. So Mike heard that's how you pronounce his name, so that's what we're going for. So
you heard it here, Shaughnessy.
I think they both look really good. Well, that's what I was going to say about the Exeter game, is that it was sort of like a 50-50 performance, in that every player at some point played really well and then at some point didn't do so well. So it was a really weird performance. And you could say that about Paul and Shaughnessy as well. But they do look really good. Paul looks quality in the air, and he'll just batter people out the way to win a header.
He's not even that big, is he? He's like 5'11".
No, and they both look really comfortable on the ball. So yeah, they've impressed me as well. They both look like they've got a bit about them.
Nice,
which is good.
Okay, best of the rest.
I can do a negative.
Go on.
I think Kamara, he might be my next hated, my next disliked player.
No, let's go hated. Let's to be divisive. That's how it works. Got to be divisive.
Irritating, like he's a left footer, isn't he? And they play him on the right, and he just kicks with his left all the time, lefty, left. And against Cheltenham, somebody.
What are we going to do? Cut inside? Going to cut inside, are you?
This is the thing. Somebody put the ball through to him against Cheltenham, and he could have been clean through on goal, but I think I can't remember whether he tried to take it with his left foot or he touched it with his right foot. Either way, it was bad control, and it was sort of like. But yeah, he looks. I think his body language doesn't help. He's one of those sort of languid. Did you see the match last night? He had a couple of really good chances last night, didn't he? He had a couple of really good chances where he had volleys, and both of them were off target. And it was just sort of like that side foot. I'm going to try and do it sexy style into the top corner rather than just giving it a bit of meat. So I think he needs to be a bit careful, because as a Pompey fan and what Pompey fans are like, if you've got that sort of lazy attitude.
Well, it's
it's not. I don't think it's a deliberate thing. It's not him trying to be too cool for school, but he needs to learn that that's not going to wash. I think with a lot of Pompey fans.
Dane Scarlett-esque.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. But no, other than this, that's the worst one. Stevenson midfield. He looks okay, isn't he?
Stevenson, I only saw him against Fulham last night, so he looked all right, I thought.
Okay, so he's clearly not coming in as first choice as yet. Obviously, massive. I know. First game of the season, and obviously we loved him last year at the beginning of the season, and massive loss to have.
Larry, yeah.
Larry, that's it. I just can't think of his name completely went. I think although he wasn't great in the opening game of the season, he obviously we've mentioned how we like him a lot in the throughout last season. I think he was a big miss initially. Didn't really come back the same, did he? Okay.
No. No, and he's gone again, hasn't he? So.
Yeah, bit of a worry. Okay.
But
Any
yeah,
more?
I think that's the other thing. Well, just not particularly the signings, but I think it's that sort of Morel Pack combination again in the centre. I'm not sure it works, to be honest. I think because it seems to like we've gone back to what we were last season, where everything seems to be going through Pack. In that he's coming in, he's collecting the ball off the centre backs, and looking to play the ball into wherever. So I think, I mean that could be the reason why we're getting these draws, in that we're so sort of predictable, defence minded. Like Morel and Pack are fairly similar. Pack's not going to run around. Morel isn't going to create chances, and so that sort of leaves it on 20-year-old Robertson to do all the work from an attacking midfield point of view.
But then I suppose if we do get the wingers firing, which obviously they're not at the moment, then that could change the dynamic of the team, couldn't it? If they're not really producing much at the moment. But yeah, I think from what I've seen, and as I say, I've been away for a little bit, and so I've not seen as much as I would have liked to have. But we do seem a little bit predictable. We do seem so slow at time. We said it so many times last year. I know last night we had a completely different 11 in, but to go 1-0 down in the first minute is unacceptable, I think, at home. I think, again, Bristol Rovers, we were really slow for the whole of the first half. It just seems, I think that's got to be a motivation thing. And I don't know if you've ever seen Mousinho speak, but doesn't seem to have any. It's very... Hello.
Yeah, I'm not
John Mousinho.
I mean, I've got to be careful what I say about Mousinho, but I'm not overly enamoured by the way he comes across in interviews. It just seems very It just seems like he's doing a job interview. It sort of seems like he's giving the giving the answers. Nervous. He's giving the answers he's expecting.
Yeah.
He's expecting. I should say this because this is what people want me to say.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, it's still only been however many games that he's been in charge of. So,
well, I can tell you that it's been 28 games he's been in charge of.
28
games.
Yeah, it does seem quite a lot, actually. But I don't know. It does. And the other thing that concerns me is just the lack of a plan B again, and the lack of a different formation. It's just sort of like, we will stick Bishop up front on his own. We will have 4 at the back. We will have 5. It's going to be a 4-5-1. It's going to be your 4 at the back. We'll have a triangle in midfield. We'll have a couple of wingers, and we'll have Bishop up top, and that's it. And then when we bring the subs on, will we change the formation? No, we'll just change these players for these players. Keep the same formation.
The only good thing with that is we're not changing like for like. We're changing the dynamic in the if you're bringing on a 10, the 10 is a different type of number 10. If you're bringing on the right winger, it's a different type of right winger. But like you say, it's still the same formation. It's not really changing too much, is it? And that's I think there's a little bit of a concern, because if you look, obviously we've got drew Bristol Rovers, we've drawn with Cheltenham. Both teams, I think we should be beaten at home.
Definitely.
On the pod before the season started, I said we should be getting 12 points minimum out of the opening 6 games. We've got 8 so far. Are we going to get 4 points out of the next 2 games? We could do. Stevenage at home, Stevenage away, Peterborough at home. You'd like to think we're going to get 4 points out of that. But I just think the amount of draws is a little bit of a worry. And not the amount of draws, but the amount of draws against average teams. And these are the teams you should be beating if you wanted to go up.
Yeah, and just that lack of being able to make that breakthrough, the lack of that little spark, the little bit of quality. But it seems better than last season, in the fact that we do have more people to choose from, more people that can possibly turn a game. But
definitely more depth.
Definitely
more depth. Apart from maybe in the goalkeeping position, I noticed after last night, because I'm not convinced that Schofield's a suitable number 2. Well, the suitable replacement should Norris be out. Norris has looked very good though. Particularly that save, was that against Exeter? Last minute save.
Exeter, yeah.
Should have scored. To be fair, should have scored. But still, he had a good reflex save, I thought.
He did very well that game. Good distribution.
Nice. So overall, it's kind of, we would have gone top of it, Exeter, by the way. I know it's only 4 games in it. No one goes up at the end of Cheltenham. Sorry. Yeah. Okay, so room for improvement, but okay, it's been an okay start, hasn't it?
Yes. Let's cracks start to appear.
No,
let's not start worrying too early. But
it's not as doom and gloom as some people on Twitter are saying, but it's also not as amazing as others are saying. There always seems to be that massive divide, isn't there? There doesn't seem to be any real level heads in the in the messages that I read. Okay, so based on what you've seen so far, excuse me, where do you think we will end up? We're currently 6th again, only 4 games in. Where do you think we'll end up come May?
Okay.
Okay.
I would. It's hard, isn't it? Because if it continues the way we're going, we will finish exactly the same sort of position as we did last season. I think that's obvious. I can't see us finishing higher than between the playoff positions, between 6th and 10th.
Okay.
To narrow it down, 6th and 12th. But
that's where you think we'll finish, between 6th and 12th?
Well, if it carries on the way it's going, if it carries on with that lack of, I still think we need something else. We need a little bit of spark. We need to change it up somehow. We need to just change our tactics.
We need a little bit of sparks.
We need a bit of sparks. So yeah, I mean, if that means Ogilvy and Rafferty don't do anything wrong, but they don't do a lot. Maybe changing them might help. Maybe starting with these other wingers, maybe starting with Sadie, maybe putting 2 up front. The teams still do that. The teams still put 2 up front.
You're not allowed to do that anymore.
Got to have a 10, haven't you? Got to have a 10.
You'll be accused of being a 90s kid if you do that.
Exactly.
Boomer. I mean, boomer. No one has 2 up top.
And so many people pointed out about the lack of a number 10, and I think that's already
an ACM.
Yeah, we can't rely on Robertson.
Here's a little stat for you then. So far, in his 28 games, I've been a bit of stato in our time off. In his 28 games, Mousinho has averaged 1.79 points for Pompey, which, if continued over the season, would give us 82 points. So 82 points.
Who won the league?
82 points would generally get you in the playoffs. Obviously, last season was a little bit of an anomaly because I think Wednesday had like 97 points and came 3rd, didn't they? But yeah, we won the league. 82 points would get us. I would like to hope that 1.79 is an average over those. Obviously, most of last season and a few games this season. You'd like to hope he's got his own players now. He's starting to develop his own style, whatever that may be, even if it's a bit predictable. We might be able to have, if the players kind of start to gel and start to look better, particularly those white players, then maybe that average goes up and maybe we do get into the high 80s.
I think like you touched on, my concern would be that we're not putting teams like Cheltenham and
to the sword.
We're not putting them away. So what will it be like when we do play Derby, Charlton, Bolton,
Blackpool?
I suppose a positive is the fact that all these other teams that have been tipped for the top
started relatively poorly.
Yeah,
relatively poorly. So we are one of only 2 unbeaten sides. Sorry, Tellernight, 3 unbeaten sides because obviously Wigan have started well, but at the -8. Wigan, I think, could still go up the way they started.
Yeah,
they started very, very well. So yeah, one of 3 unbeaten sides. So that's a positive. Other positives for me, we've only conceded 1 goal in the league, which is good. We do look difficult to beat, I think, and difficult to get in behind. Obviously, the home draws are ridiculous. Predictable and slow out the blocks is really a big concern from my point of view. But I'm still confident in the top 6.
Yeah,
I think we have to be top 6. I think if anything other than top 6 is a massive failure. I think, and even then, if we get top 6, we've got to be going up by the playoffs. I'm going to stick my neck on the block and say, if we're not going up this year, it's a failure. So if we get into the playoffs and we don't go up, that's a failure.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah.
And if you look at the teams, I know again early days, but Cambridge currently top. Who would have thought that? I think many people were predicting Cambridge to be bottom of the pile. Oxford are up there. Stevenage are up there. So, there's a lot of teams up there who you wouldn't expect to be. But then that would also suggest that there's more to come from Derby, Blackpool, teams like that, Wigan. I think will be up there as well. So difficult. But yeah, I think there's promising signs. That I think one of the real promising signs, I think the atmosphere seems to be excellent. Mate, I don't know about Cheltenham. Was Cheltenham a bit more flat due to the dull game?
Yeah, it was a bit of a strange one. Just the fact that there was the delay, the 20-minute delay. There'd already been a delay for the linesman injury in the first half, and it seemed like that and Exeter, that the players just kept going off to get a drink all the time, and it was sort of like, well, hold on a minute, we're not in the middle of the World Cup in
Qatar.
The delay didn't help. It was a bit flat. I think that was just due to the fact that it was a very similar performance to last season. So the atmosphere wasn't as good. Still good.
Yeah. Still better than it has been last year.
Still better than it was last year.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So next up, Stevenage. Obviously, big Pompey connections there. And here we go. Here's a little thing for you. You don't have to be a detective to know about the Thompson twins connection with Pompey.
Oh, yeah. Like that.
For those of you who weren't around in the 80s, we're talking about, obviously, the trio of Thompsons that are now at Stevenage. Nathan, Louis, and everybody loved Ben Thompson, didn't they?
Ben Thompson.
Oh, what a cameo 6 months or 4 months or whatever he had for us. And everybody still wanted him back, but it's not going to happen anymore, is it? But if he goes to Stevenage rather than Pompey obviously didn't want him. But they've started really well.
Just
lost last time out to Reading, and also Nathan Thompson got sent off in that game, so I assume that means he's not playing against us at the weekend. But yeah, they seem to be playing decent, not scoring loads of goals, but grinding out results. So tough one, I think. And I think also adding to the mix the wing back scenario, which we seem to struggle against, could be a difficult one. What's your predictions for the game?
If they have pacey wing backs, then I would expect them to be. I would be a bit concerned. So I'm going to go for a Pompey-esque score draw.
Yeah, I'm going draw as well. I'm going to go draw as well. It's either going to be a low-scoring draw or a no-scoring draw. No. It won't be high-scoring. I guarantee you that. It'll be 1-1 or 0-0. That's my prediction for the game. I'll take that though. To be fair, I'll take that. I think it's a decent away point. It'll be interesting to see. I think at this stage of the season, it's a decent away point. I think I'll say, especially their form. Okay, we're wrapping up, Dan. We're wrapping up.
Anything else you want to?
Yeah, it's just a couple of things just to wrap up. We haven't spoken yet about our match day rituals, which we've said a couple of times that we're going to. Pre-match rituals, whether they be home or away. Excellent. But we'll do that next week. We haven't got time this week to do that now. But obviously you're now a season ticket holder again, so maybe your rituals may have changed since we used to go to the games together. It may well be a different ritual, but we did say at the beginning of the show that we will have a new feature, and that feature is me and Dan love a quiz. If you're the regular to our show, the regular listener or watcher to our show, thanks very much for just tuning in again. We love your viewing figure. We do love a quiz. We're not going to do quizzes between ourselves anymore, but what we're going to do is we're going to invite you guys on for a quiz. It'll be a penalty shootout style quiz. 5 questions about Portsmouth FC. If there's a draw at the end of that, there'll be a sudden death. There'll be no prizes. It's just for funsies, and for bragging rights. You can come on with mates if you want, or you can come on and play against a random. Completely up to you. But if you want to be involved in that, message us on X at Pompey Pod or on Facebook.com/Pompey Pod. This is going to be cool. This feature is, if you're familiar with a Radio 2 quiz, which is now on Great Six Radio, this is called Pomp Master. So if you would like to be a contestant on Pomp Master, look at his face. Look at his little face. If you want to be a contestant on Pomp Master, there'll be 2 people every week, 5 questions each, penalty shootout style, and get involved. Message us at Pompey Pod or facebook.com/Pompey Pod. Like the show, subscribe, tell your mates, put a little alert if you listen to it on Spotify or any of the other Deezer, if anyone does use Deezer or wherever else you're listening to your
MySpace.
MySpace, yeah. Friendsreunited.com and all the other channels. Other channels are available. That's it, Dan. That's all we got time for. I think
Wicked.
We've done a good one. Right, we'll see you next week. We'll review Stevenage. We'll be looking ahead to the next one, and hopefully we'll have 2 contestants playing Pomp Master. We'll see you then. Bye.